Hello and welcome. Just got attendees coming in now. Let me know in the chat also if you can't hear me or if there's any kind of issues, then just yeah, feel free to let me know. So what I might get you to do, if you can hear me, can you please just use the raise hand function just to let me know? Ah, perfect. Got them coming through now. Awesome, thanks. Just give it a few more minutes and then we'll get started. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to put it in the chat. We won't be addressing questions until later. However, if you are having any difficulties or if I've got a setting that's wrong and the webinar is being disrupted, then just let me know. Just having a look at the list of attendees now, and I can see a few familiar faces. I hope we're all doing well. It is Friday, so that's always a bonus. What we might do, we'll just wait until 1:35, so just another 4 minutes, and then we'll get started. Sorry, I just saw we've had a participant raise their hand. If there's anything if you've got any current questions or anything, feel free to put it in the chat. I know there's a few functions in Zoom, some of them within the QA, the polls and whatnot. Sometimes things get a little bit mixed up. But if you can stick to the chat, then yeah, that'll be handy. Thank you. Well, I have a few minutes. I'm just going to jump out and grab a water. Okay, so welcome those who've just joined. We're going to give it another minute and then we'll get started. It looks like we're going to have a small group today. That's fine. It's Friday. We're all probably experiencing some form of mental fatigue with everything going on at the moment. Perfect. What we might do is we'll get started. So first of all, thank you for taking time out of your Friday to join this webinar. We do have about an hour set aside for it. However, I don't think it's actually going to take 1 hour to get through, but that's okay. We can leave some more times for questions anyway at the end. So again, if there's any kind of issues with audio or anything like that, just please let me know in the chat box. So what we're going to be covering today is we're going to be talking about working from home, especially expectations versus reality. We're obviously playing to a different set of rules currently. Have you got your basics in place? So we're going to talk about what every workplace should have in place by now. Productivity, physical and mental health. There's definitely challenges that we're all facing in regards to that. And then following that discussion, we're going to actually talk about strategies to overcome those. And when I put together these strategies, I thought it would be more useful and actually really important that the strategies, well, essentially ticked a number of boxes. We needed it to be quick to implement. We needed it to be cheap and or free. So everything we're going to talk about is free within this webinar. And also we needed it to be accessible to a whole range of different employees. So that's what we're really focused on with this advice. And then we're also going to be talking about infectious disease support tools for businesses, whether you're currently still operating or whether you're planning what you're going to do once the lockdown does indeed finish. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take off the webcam and then we can actually see the slides instead of my face. All right, now we'll continue. Firstly, just a disclaimer, we are of course facing a rapidly changing event. Things are constantly changing. Even looking at my past 2 webinars, a lot of that information is just been surpassed by now. We all have different ways of collecting and interpreting information. So what I'm saying may not be entirely agreed to by everyone, but this is my interpretation of things. Current political responses won't be covered. And also when we're talking about employment related topics, this is indeed a matter of industrial relations. We will be talking about a few things when it comes to when people obviously, we're facing a lot of question marks, and that does have an impact on our health. We will be talking about that, but when it comes to more specific topics in regards to employment related issues, we won't be covering those. So with so many of us working at home, are we living the dream? I mean, we're thinking about all day with our pets, getting to sleep in. We're not dealing with any kind of traffic, not having to dress up. I mean, I've put on a tie today. This is the first time I've been out of my tracksuit pants since about Monday. And then we have more time with our family. So there definitely are pros, but of course we are doing this within a lockdown. So I've just highlighted some of the pros that particularly resonate with me. I do like the flexible work hours, and I do like working on things that were in the back burner in the past. However, we of course have many cons, especially because this is a lockdown scenario. We're not talking about your typical working from home arrangements. And again, what I've done is I've just highlighted those that are particularly, that they resonate with me. Sleep cycles, mine are currently very disrupted. I mean, people have been getting emails from me at 3 a.m. and they're questioning why I'm still up. Yeah, you may, well, me personally, I've had this get in the way of my exercise routine. I really did like being able to go to a gym and then just be able to do the exercise and leave. I'm finding it difficult to change that. we as humans are creatures of habit. Once we've developed a habit, it is difficult to change. Not impossible, but it does take time. And then one that we're probably all experiencing is unable to maintain just normal social activities, being able to actually go out and see those who we enjoy being around. And of course, currently now with school back on, a lot of people are having to juggle educating their children while also working from home. So at the moment, everything, let's just say it's out of whack. There are people that are still not working in isolation. Of course, we have our very important healthcare professions that are still going. And then we've also got those who are working in the food sector, in logistics, and a whole range of things. So some of us are isolated, while those who are not isolated are obviously coming home and we're interacting with them. So it's very important that people leaving the house, whether it is for work or whether it is to get groceries or whatnot, you still need to use a high level of personal hygiene, like we've heard 1,000 times, but it still holds true. Wash your hands with soap and water, make sure they're dry. When you don't have soap and water, hand sanitizer, and then of course avoid touching your eyes, nose and throat. Maintain your social distancing and avoid unnecessary trips. Again, easier said than done. A lot of professions require interaction with people. So you obviously have to use controls from workplaces in conjunction with the general guidance that we are getting. So first we'll talk about what you should already have in place. For people working at home, there should be a working from home policy in place. You really want to make sure that you have a stance on having employees working in an environment that is suitable for working. There's obviously a way that they need to be making sure that their documents are kept safe. There's also a requirement to obviously still be available for meetings, phone calls, the responsibilities for applying for sick leave, annual leave, they're still there. And then we obviously need to still comply with applicable policies and procedures of the business. One of those would be just because you're working at home, it doesn't mean that bullying, harassment policies or incident notification processes are indeed no longer in place. They still are. Regular meetings with employees, you don't want to just talk about work. You obviously want to engage or gauge how their current well-being is and the kinds of challenges they're facing. So we're going to talk about some tools that we can utilize to tackle that. You do want to have a look at government tools which do enable financial support for employees. So I would be checking government websites just to make sure that you are indeed giving employees the kind of support that is being made available by the government. You want to, as much as possible, clarify work and employment status with employees. I know that's easier said than done because everything's changing all the time, but you really have to think about the overall transparency within the workforce. Then of course we want to think about what are we going to do in our workplaces post this lockdown. It's not going to be business as usual in all aspects. Some of the challenges is questions over work performance. So with such a sudden and huge change to how we work, it really has threatened all of our job securities. And of course, when your job security is threatened, that is indeed going to have a negative impact on job performance. Influence of friends and family situations. So one example is currently I'm still employed. However, friends and family around me are all facing different challenges. And we're talking about some people being made redundant, other people are not quite knowing what's going to happen to them. Then that has an impact on me as well. And it can definitely, it can just cause disruption down the chain essentially. There can be a lack of direction, drive and motivation. There's so many projects on hold. People aren't sure about the future. It can be difficult to really find that drive to keep going and keep productive. And then when it comes to career development and then also business setbacks, many of us are thinking, well, this is going to take us years to recover. And obviously that's it's a very somber mood to be in. We all have different ways of dealing with these kinds of emotions. And for some, we might feel more depressed while less stressed. Others might feel more isolated. I guess what I'm just trying to convey here is that we're going to be having similar feelings, but we're going to be feeling them all at different levels. So one important thing is that we're all communicating with one another and just gauging how us as a workforce and our team members are currently doing. And I do like this statement from one of my favorite books called Mindsight. That's emotional states can develop without consciousness. So often, let's say we do feel stressed, we don't actually notice we're stressed until we're at an extreme level of it. So it can be difficult to identify these kinds of feelings and emotions before they actually happened. So at the moment, we need a heightened sense of awareness about what we are currently feeling in this present moment, and is there any kind of action that we need to take in order to deal with feelings such as anxiousness, stress, and depression. So going back to some of the questions we just looked at, when there are questions about work performance, we need to, I guess, keep an open dialogue with employees. Now, we don't want to micromanage. So when you're asking questions such as, what are you working on? What have you got planned? It's really about just opening dialogue and helping employees setting their frame of mind. I would also recommend that you ask them if there's anything that they want to particularly work on, because then it gives them the incentive to come up with ideas and just get a bit more drive and motivation. Certainly look at focusing on small goals and achievements. I believe every team member at this point should have some kind of small goal set, and when they do receive that achievement, that you should be recognizing these. Some of the tools that we're using at Anytech, and I would recommend to anyone who's working within any kind of team, is Microsoft Teams. So it's free for up to 300 users. We've been scheduling meetings. We can do screen shares, calendars, a whole range of things. And then if you're working on more specific tasks, you can use something like Asana. It's just another online tool where you can organize, set, and track work. So to be honest, we implemented Microsoft Teams probably around the end of last year. And given the current situation, I would, it would be very interesting to see how Anytech would actually be operating without such valuable tools at hand. So it's certainly not too late to start implementing these kinds of tools. When it comes to how we're feeling from the influence of friends and family, issues with career development and setbacks, definitely don't wait until those around you speak up. A lot of the time, people aren't very vocal about their mental health or their thoughts and their feelings. People still consider it very taboo. And just because someone isn't mentioning something or is staying quiet doesn't mean everything is okay. And in this case, I'd certainly recommend it. It's very important to start utilizing mental health tools. One of my favorite mental health tools currently out, and one that I recommend to anyone, is from the Black Dog Institute, which is a mental health support network. Now, this tool is called My Compass, and you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your computer, it doesn't matter. It's completely free, and it's a self-help assessment tool, which initially it asks you some questions, and based on those questions, it'll actually develop a program for you and you can start beginning your treatment. It does take about 7 weeks, given that we're probably going to be in lockdown for at least the next month, then the 7-week timeline isn't too big of an issue. And you just get these interactive learning activities that really gets you thinking about your thoughts, your feelings, behaviors, and just strategies to overcome them. I do recommend this tool in particular, not just because it is free and easily accessible, but it is actually been scientifically studied, and in a randomized control trial, it did help people with mild to moderate depression. Of course, when we are talking about severe cases, that's when we're talking about a more serious type of intervention, so lifeline and more professional help. So I've just put this on the screen. I'll put it at the end as well. So to get that tool, you can go to Black Dog Institute. That's only one of many tools they have, or you can go straight to the tool by going to mycompass.org.au. Now, we definitely got to check up some of the, I guess, well, a lot of us have heard this, but it is good to be reminded of it. We should be setting up a routine and structure for your workday. As I'd mentioned, sometimes I'm working at 3 a.m. So it's a bit ironic for me to say this, but trust me, I'm working on it. I know all these things are easier said than done, but we do need to create those boundaries for work time and home time. It's the same environment, but we really need to know when to start and stop and try and segregate the two as much as possible. You do need a specific place in your home where you can work. Don't work in your bedroom. I know it's very tempting. It's warm, it's cozy, but a bed's been designed to sleep. It hasn't been designed to sit on. You're not going to get the right back support. You're going to be hunching. When it comes to lighting, your whole body positioning, it's just please find somewhere in your house that is suitable for the task that you are doing. And of course, we do need to stay connected with co-workers. And nowadays, we can take meetings on our phones, on our computers, got a whole range of tools, both free and paid. There really is no reason that we can't implement that. You may want to try doing a digital detox in the evenings. Now, for me personally, I use my phone for pretty much everything. And I also like to sit down just with Netflix and just use it as stress relief. So for me, I probably wouldn't go a digital detox. However, if you're actually on a computer for the whole day and taking meetings and a whole range of things, this may be a solution that you want to try. Do try and get out at least once a day. It's funny, when I typed that yesterday, I'd actually noticed that I hadn't left the house for 2 straight days. I hadn't been out. So as soon as I typed that, I kind of went out and said, okay, Julia, you really got to start taking your own advice. Do regulate your exposure to media and do check information sources. This one is particularly important. There is a lot of stuff going on, and it is easy just to look through Facebook or other social media, or just turn on the TV and you get bombarded, and there's so many conflicting ideas that it's very overwhelming, and we got to make sure that we don't let that get to the point where it is making us anxious. And of course, when it comes to the type of information, a lot of it is coming out so quick and so fast from so many different sources. We don't even have a chance to really, vet it for being correct. So whenever you read something, please just take it with a grain of salt. And then you really should also be doing activities you enjoy. Sitting around and watching TV is an activity that you may enjoy, but you obviously may want to increase the types of activities that you're doing. Physical well-being, obviously moving has always been good for us. It does release happy brain chemicals, as many people call them, such as dopamine and serotonin. They are mood boosters. They will help you regulate your appetite and sleep. And it also will help remove some of the negative hormones, such as the stress inducers, such as cortisol. I would recommend Googling this book. Again, it's free. Meet Your Happy Chemicals. If you type that in Google, you will be presented with this book. Very easy to read, and it just gives you a bit of an idea how you can almost mind hack yourself, so to speak, and use certain things to your advantage to feel better. Feeling better and feeling good, it can take work. It doesn't just come naturally. So the more you know, the more you can empower yourself to improve. Of course, there's a host of exercise apps for iOS and Android. I've actually had a look, and tonight I'm going to download the 7-minute daily workout routine. It's got really good reviews. You can see ones there for 30 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know why they picked 7 minutes, but it appealed to me. I'm just seeing a note here from someone I haven't seen in some time. I hope you're doing well. Yes, keep away from news does certainly help mental health. Also, if you are injured and you don't like exercise, then there's certainly different ways to trigger those happy chemicals. Learning new skills, solving puzzles, laughing. Sometimes I'll just jump on YouTube and just watch a comedian I like. I'll get like 5 minutes of just being able to laugh, reset, and then get back to what I'm doing. And do things you do enjoy as long as they are healthy. We do know things such as smoking, of course, does release dopamine. we want to focus on releasing these in a healthy way, because we can release them in unhealthy ways as well. So we really got to be very, very cautious of that. Now, this was a resource for free online learning that one of my bosses shared through Teams. So now our whole business is aware of this, and we can take on free online courses, power of just keeping in contact. And Harvard University has a whole range of free online courses. You can choose the duration as well. So if you've got a spare day or two, then I'd recommend jumping in here, having a look through it, and just learning something new. While we are working at home, it is important, as I said, please do not be working in your bed. Wherever you are working, you do want to make sure that you are meeting the same kinds of workplace standards that you would at any kind of office environment. So for this, Anytech has developed a working from home assessment form. You can go to our website, you'll get a prompt, and it's free to download. What essentially this will do is it'll just take you through a checklist, so you can have a look at slips, trips and falls, how your workplace is set up, if there's any kinds of issues that might be present, then you can actually put that, you can highlight that, send it back to your employer, and obviously work on fixing those. So you can go to the website, download it, send it to your employees. You can amend it. It's in Word form, so feel free to pretty much make this tool your own. Do keep stretching. We do have a tendency, it doesn't matter if you are at home working or if you're in the workplace, sometimes we have a tendency just to sit there and not really move that much. I know particularly when I'm quite stressed, I'll get quite tense and I won't move because I'm concentrating, and then I won't actually realize that I'm sore until I've got a type of pain that's actually distracting me from my work. So I do like the upper and lower back stretch, because that one forces me to get up, and then the wrist and elbow stretch as well, purely because I'm just working on a laptop all the time. Diet and mood, intrinsically linked. Please try and avoid coffee late in the evenings. It can stimulate cortisol. Again, that's a stress hormone. And there's a whole range of really good things that you can incorporate in your diet that can reduce cortisol and your overall level of stress hormones. I'd recommend going to Healthline. It's very easy to read articles. The way it's set up, it's almost like a tabloid, but everything that they've got in there is referenced and peer-reviewed. So I'm definitely staying away from any kind of pseudoscience. I'd recommend, particularly with so much information out there at this point, stick to your reference sources, and that goes for food as well. The Australian government has a website called eatforhealth.gov.au, and just it's got a wealth of information in there. And again, while putting these slides together, I had just finished an entire can of Pringles, which is weird because I never eat Pringles, but I'm home and it is there. So being at home, being in front of the computer, I'm just like, well, I'm hungry. What can I eat? I'll just reach for the Pringles. I don't even think about it. So you may want to think about when you are shopping, just buy things that are healthy, because it's going to force you to eat healthy in a way. We're not in the position where anybody really wants to leave the house just to grab a few items. We're happy staying at home and just making with what we have. So I'm not buying any more Pringles, put it that way. Whatever junk food is left, I'm going to try and stay away from it. But please visit this website, and you get a whole range of tips and guides that you can use, and then you can share with your employees as well. So once lockdowns are lifted and we've left our furry friends behind, who have certainly become very attached and very used to having us there on a frequent basis, we've still got lots of work to do. When it comes to mental health tools, it's going to be a constant now. It's not about using something and then being better, and then that's it. It's going to be constant reinforcement, and it's almost like with a muscle. The same thing goes with our mind. It does take training, and it does take consistency to make sure that we can aim to get to the headspace that we're wanting, and then staying there as well. one critical area is going to be getting employees to trust their workplaces again. I mean, at this point, all you have to do is cough in public and it sends people running. At some point, we're all going to be back in our workplaces, working amongst one another, and it's going to be really important that we've used tools and implemented them that actually let employees feel confident that they are safe in their workplace. So for this, again, available for free from Anitech Consulting, is a two-part assessment and control plan. So first, the first part is about assessing your workplace. So having a look and just gauging the potential risk of infectious diseases. Once you have done that, then you can go ahead and then use the infectious disease checklist. You may want to use this on, once a day, twice a day, whatever basis you decide, just to make sure that specific hygiene standards have been kept up to scratch. So just an example of that on the left-hand side, that's the first tool, the assessment tool. So it's just going to give you a number of prompts, some questions, just for you to gauge, how at risk is your current workplace. And then from that, you can then use the checklist tool just to regularly go through and make sure that, in this example, you want to make sure that there's paper towels are available and dispensing properly. One example would be we're in a shared office here, and I just went to the kitchen and I noticed the paper towels were completely out and there's actually nothing in place to dry your hands. So in this case, if we were to have a checklist, we could have identified that, or the building owner could have identified that and then implemented a control. I've decided to put this slide in here because I know it's going to get asked during question time, and it's probably one that everybody is asking, and that's when will these restrictions end? We don't have anything confirmed. According to the World Health Organization, they have given advice to governments that they said you should consider lifting them when these 6 key areas have been met. So the first one is disease transmission is under control. We have seen numbers in Australia generally reduce. I do believe in New South Wales, we did have a bit of a jump up yesterday from the day before, but still then at the moment, especially compared to other countries, we are doing quite well with, we're doing better with transmission than a lot of other countries. And that really does come down to a lot of the isolation controls and increased hygiene that we're seeing. We need health systems to be able to detect, test and isolate, and of course treat every case and also trace every contact. And you would have seen in the news there's quite a lot about some privacy and tracker apps. It is a difficult one. Obviously, privacy to each and every one of us is very important, but there also has to be some kind of way that we can trace infections and be able to stop the spread in a timely manner. Hotspots, the risks to them need to be minimised. Places such as nursing homes, we really can't have those most vulnerable to the virus, obviously at a heightened risk. Schools, workplaces, other essential places, they need to have established preventative measures. So just going back to the two-part disease infection control plan that's available on the website, I would recommend getting that, because that's one area that I'm particularly interested in expanding on. The risk of importing new cases needs to be managed. How that's going to be done, we'll see what kind of screening potentials can be done at our airports and other areas of entrance. And then communities need to be fully educated, engaged and empowered to live under, as we all know, it's going to be called the new normal as opposed to back to normal. And the education piece and empowering people, that's a very important part too. So I think for me personally, my goal is to work more on part 4 and part 6. And that's why I enjoy doing these webinars and having these kinds of discussions. Some of the key tips and takeaways from today, I told you it wouldn't be too long today. Do have your basics in place as mentioned, such as your working from home policy. You can encourage positive work environments remotely through productivity tools. So that's going back to Microsoft Teams and Asana. Implement mental health tools. There's so many that are free. Again, there's the My Compass app, but there's many more. Have employees complete a work from home assessment form. Again, just because they're working from home doesn't mean that we don't have the obligation to make sure that people are working in a safe environment. Complete a workplace assessment to determine the risks of disease in your workplace. If you're still in a workplace, you can do that now, or you may want to do that once people start returning, and then use that checklist just to make sure that those controls are indeed in place. If you do need help with anything that we've discussed today, or any other areas that Anytech engage in, then by all means, please get in touch. We do business continuity plans, all sorts of policy and procedural development. We do gap analysis reviews, management system auditing. A lot of the people on the list I can see here are clients from our quality, safety, and environment management systems. We do IT security, as mentioned, health safety management systems, food safety, occupational hygiene. We do help with workplace culture and well-being plans. And then we are also able to provide our PPE supplies and then office ergonomic solutions. I've just got this one slide in here just to kind of break down the resources into the different areas that we discussed today. So productivity, mental health, diet and exercise. To be honest, if you just stick to these resources on the screen, you'll probably find that that'll be more than enough to really get you on the way to, I guess, adjusting to this new environment that we've all kind of just been thrown in. And we are definitely struggling to manage the new way that we are working. So thank you very much. Now we'll open it up to questions. I'll try my best to answer them. Again, just given the topic, it can be difficult to give a very straightforward answer. I'll try not being so trivial. I think I've been too trivial in some of my past responses. I can see we've got one question coming up in the webinar chat of, can you get a copy of this presentation? Yes, absolutely. And also this whole webinar will be recorded and put on the website, but I'll make sure that this presentation gets emailed out to those who joined. So please use the current chat window. I may as well put my face back up there. We're all at home. It's kind of nice seeing people, even if it is online, so you can see me again. But yeah, feel free. Please use the chat, and I'll answer your questions. If it comes through the Q&A, I'll open that too, just in case it gets put in there. Funny thing is, I've actually noticed I haven't had to talk that much this week, and then just sitting down here and talking for less than an hour, it's already like I'm starting to lose the ability. So maybe I should talk more along with more physical exercise. I'm just getting some people saying thank you. Look, you're more than welcome. I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. And then what I might do, I'm just going to swap back to this slide because I think people are quite interested in it. So I'll remove my face and put on something more interesting. So I'll keep these useful resources up here. Yeah, look, everyone, you're more than welcome. Again, yeah, thanks for joining. Oh, I've got one question here, and what essentially is being asked is, will we be providing support systems once we go back? And this is for an existing client. Yes, absolutely. For our existing clients, we'll be working very close with you and through every step of the way to help you through this. Anything we know, we want to make sure that you know the tools that we have. We want to make sure that the tools you have. Yes, and I'm just getting a bit of a comment here is, yeah, guidance will be needed to adapt to the new normal. I certainly agree with that. With one of our previous current clients, sorry, saying that potentially I don't need that much exercise anyway. I don't know. I think with that can of Pringles and all the other weird things that I've been eating, I think by the time we finish this lockdown, I get back in the gym, I'm gonna be a few steps behind. Oh, just a comment here from one of our other consultants is, yes, we will definitely need to be running future webinars like this to make sure that we are supporting, you know, not just only our clients, but the wider, the wider business community in getting back to where we all want to be. Because I feel like we're all in this, yeah, as we're just seeing another client say now, we're all going crazy at the moment and working from home, being alone, isolated. It just doesn't feel that great, you know. Everything, and we're constantly. There's no break from it. We're constantly exposed from it. As soon as you wake up, you're wondering what the situation is. You're working from home. You can't see anyone. Every conversation you have with someone is based on, let's face it, coronavirus. I am getting a question here if there will be another webinar next Friday. Yes, there will be. That will be hosted through the National Safety Council of Australia. I've got to double check what the access is to that. I'm not sure if it's members only or if we're getting the ability to give it to a wider audience. That being said, it will be made available on our website once that webinar has finished as well. And if you like, you visit our website, anitechconsulting.com.au. You will find our past webinars along with the resources that was discussed today. If anybody has a question later, by all means, I would encourage you to send us an email. And I'll just change the slide here. Send us an email, info@anitechconsulting.com.au, and or go through the website and submit a question, and then more than happy to answer it. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting a notification here. Sorry, the next webinar is going to be next Thursday, no, not next Friday. And of course, even if you've been in this webinar, the webinar following, it'll be a little bit different. I try not to give like just repeat the same webinar. So some information will be same, but some will be different. And again, getting people asking how they can join. I would encourage you to go to the National Safety Council website or check them out on LinkedIn, and then you should be able to join there unless it's for members only. But we'll always give the webinar as soon as possible for free on our website anyway. So I am getting the question of, yeah, what will be covered next week, and similar things to this week, but I might actually delve a bit more into some of these tools and maybe a few examples of them in use as well. Sorry, I'm just getting a notification. If you go to our LinkedIn page, so the Anitech Consulting, or you just type in Anitech, it'll come up. If you go to the Anitech website, there is a link shared on there, and you can register for the next week's webinar through there. Excellent. So I think my voice is pretty much running out at this point. I'm going to have to, yeah, maybe practice before next week just to make sure that my vocal cords are up for it. But oh, sorry, I just got one more question. So what do I recommend as a guide for setting up ergonomics correctly for working at home? That is a very good question. So I'll just go back up. I noted it briefly, but probably too briefly, which is this particular tool here. So if you go to, or you can just Google it. If you just Google WorkSafe Victoria Office-Wise Handbook, it's from 2006, but still all the information in there is just as relevant. I'd certainly recommend, yeah, go using the Office-Wise tool. Even if you're not in Victoria, it can be applied to any state. Go there, and it's just full of really useful information, and it's got diagrams as well. And yeah, definitely get started there. And if you have any additional questions, by all means, get in touch, and we can help you out. Oh, this is a good question. Do we have any webinar sessions regarding sales and marketing? That's something that I can definitely put to the sales and marketing team. Maybe there's a bit of scope to increase the types of webinars we do, and we can have a discussion about that. So good question. We'll see what the future holds. All right, excellent. Well, I think I'm going to let you all off the hook. You can let me off the hook as well. Please enjoy your weekend. Last weekend, it was a bit weird. It was Easter break and we didn't really get to celebrate it. So I implore you all to just take care, be healthy, keep safe. And if you ever need any help whatsoever, please get in touch with Anitech and it will help you out. So enjoy your weekend, maintain social distancing, don't break the law, and I hope to speak to you all soon. See ya.